We're very lucky as soccer fans during this quarantine. We have to watch old sports or no sports at all. Don't watch all that news. Don't watch all that news. Stop watching news. I feel so much better. I'm in a nice headspace as a result. But we're lucky as soccer fans because we have the World Cup. And I've been taking a few deep dives into old World Cups. I go as far back as 1986 when I remember watching games live. I don't have any recollection of 1982. I was too young, maybe not into the sport enough. 1986 a bit, 1990 a lot more than 1994. I'm under your spell. But we can watch these because it's, don't give me the Olympics, don't give me any other competition, because these games are so massive, historically significant. The whole world have the eyes on here. And as I will go through my latest list, they make a difference in a sport fan from a certain place for the rest of their lives. I'm going with my favorite World Cup surprise stories. And there have been many. And again, I'll go back to 1986. And really, that's also a World Cup where you started to be the beginning of expansion. You know, a lot of regions were not well represented up till the 70s and 80s. So until we got a little further in, where the full allotment of African teams and Asian teams, which made it a World Cup, more in South America. Expansion as well. Again, at 32 teams, you could have a 48-team World Cup. I'm not crazy about the idea, but it will still be pretty good. So I picked my favorite World Cup surprise stories. The criteria is you at least have to make a quarterfinal, but you should have made a semifinal, which obviously narrows it down because we're talking about surprises. Maybe you've won your group, but not necessarily, but that certainly helps to get you some votes. And maybe you have a game in that competition that you have a claim as the best ever. So we'll go quickly through it. I start with Bulgaria of 1994, a perfect team, which caused so much havoc in the United States at that World Cup. Risto Stoichkov, unbelievable. I could have picked Sweden in that competition, but I instead go with Bulgaria, even though Sweden beat Bulgaria for third place, by beating the Germans, by knocking out Mexico in penalties. Stoichkov, Lechkov, what an incredible team. And a generational squad for Bulgarians. That is, who knows if they ever get that far again. But they had that moment. They had a perfect defense, goalkeeper, midfield. It just all the pieces fell into place, which you will see here several times. So Bulgaria in 1994, definitely could have gone a little further. Could have gone a little further. Next up is Uruguay 2010. I think people think Uruguay was always in every World Cup. That wasn't the case. They were not in the World Cup in 2006, 2002, 3 games and done. Did not qualify 98, did not qualify 94. So they get with 2010, and is an expression you'll hear from me several times, the peak of their generation. They were all under the umbrella. Forlan, Suarez, Cavani, everyone. They played Ghana. Ghana could have been this story, and in the discussion for best World Cup game of all time because of all the situations you had it, including the Luis Suarez handball, which turned out to be maybe the smartest play in World Cup history. Sacrificing yourself to hope that the penalty is stopped, which it was, and then come on to win it. Sacrificing your tournament in the case of Luis Suarez. I know it was wrong, but you do as the rules allow. That was brilliance. So Uruguay, who also could have made the final, falling to the Dutch there, an incredible story. Well, I'll remember. I love these World Cup surprise stories. There's so many that I had to cut off. USA 2002. That was a very painful edit here. Croatia 1998, led by Davor Suker, who was with Real Madrid. Another team. They just got their independence. This was their first World Cup as a team. And Croatia had the top scorer in Suker. They had Zvonimir Boban. They had Mario Stanic. They had Robert Prosinecki on the back end. Woo, what a team. They made the semifinals in France 98, and they really built the beginning of this program where they made a World Cup final the last time out in 2018. Croatia's doing it as a small country. They're not going anywhere. Their development is here. But you see everything they did, and they beat some people up in this. Lost to France. That was the Lilian Thuram game where he scored, and it could have been very different. But Croatia was fantastic in 98. Costa Rica, 2014, did not make a semifinal, but they won their group. And it was a group that featured Uruguay, England, and Italy. Not too shabby. Costa Rica won. I can't believe this actually happened. I cannot believe Costa Rica 2014 in Brazil actually happened. But a golden generation, Brian Ruiz and Celso Borges, and who am I missing here? It doesn't really matter. They had it. They were a beautiful team. They worked so well. They got by the Greeks in the round of 16, and then with the Dutch in the quarterfinals, lost in penalties. That close to making a semifinal. I always say this World Cup could have been, if a few bounces of the ball, it could have been a Costa Rica-Mexico semifinal. It really is not far-fetched for that to be the case. But Costa Rica, an unbelievable run. I has to make this list because it's such a small country. Colombia I thought about as well. They didn't make it with James Rodriguez. Costa Rica gets it. My final team, Cameroon 1990, Roger Milla. The indomitable Lions opened the tournament by beating Argentina, then incredibly beat Colombia round of 16, setting up England. England would beat Cameroon 3-2 in the quarterfinals. England got 2 penalties. Were they penalties? The second one probably. The first one, I don't know. It is what it is. But Cameroon had this incredible spirit, and this was the beginning of the African teams doing better. But really, we should say Ghana came so close. Senegal has had a good run. But this Cameroon team opened the door. We're hoping more African success. I hope it happens soon because it would add such a beautiful dimension to the World Cup. But that team, way ahead of their time, and opening that door for others to walk through it. And they could have won. They could remember that semifinals with Argentina and Italy and Germany. It was like, oh, all these great teams. And then Cameroon came in there to wreck it up, but England got them. Do a deep dive with the World Cup and tell me if there's a better surprise than those 5. I'm here to listen. And subscribe to the Soccer OG.